Actress Carrie Coon, who plays the character of Lori Duffy on the third season of The White Lotus on HBO, recently revealed that a storyline that promoted the evil of gender ideology was cut from the show after President Donald Trump was elected. Wrote this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So, as I said, Coon, who plays Lori Duffy in the show, told Harper's Bazaar that the show originally provided more details about the character's backstory, including that her character is a proponent of gender ideology. This is what Coon said. There was a bit more context to her home life. You originally found out that her daughter was actually non-binary, maybe trans, and going by they, them. I feel like a broken record now, but there's no such thing as trans. Men cannot become women. Women cannot become men. That is simply just a biological fact. It is coded into our DNA. No amount of surgeries, no amount of pills or drugs can change that. Nevertheless, Coon goes on and says, you see Lori struggling to explain it to her friends, struggling to use they, them pronouns, struggling with the language, which was all interesting. It was only a short scene, but for me, it did make the question in episode 3 of whether Kate voted for Trump so much more provocative and personally offensive to Lori, considering who her child is in the world. So that is what Coon said about what was originally written in the script. She then revealed why it was cut. But the season was written before the election, and considering the way the Trump administration has weaponized the cultural war against transgender people even more since then, when the time came to cut the episode down, Mike felt that the scene was so small and the topic so big that it wasn't the right way to engage in that conversation. The proper way to engage in that conversation is to actually portray it as the evil that it is, that you are indeed lying to people, and it is shown as evil. That is how you portray this topic. You portray it as what it is. Instead, what do these Hollywood people do? What did they originally have it written as? They had it written as something as good, and that the Trump voter was a bad person, and her character having all of this liberal nonsense baggage that she had bought into, liberal ideology, brain rotting her, is good. And then makes this the person who votes for Trump even worse. Like, I mean, she literally is talking about this right here. So much more provocative and personally offensive to Lori, because the show probably wants you to relate to her character rather than Kate, who voted for Trump and was a Republican in the show. So that is how you treat shows or topics like this. You actually show something that is evil being evil, and you show something that is good and true being good and true. That is how this should work. Now, that doesn't mean you can't show things being evil or horrible things happening. You obviously can, but you have to show it as evil. You cannot depict it as something good. We have to get away from this whole morally gray garbage. It doesn't exist. There is right and wrong. Now, obviously, there are extenuating circumstances. People can be coerced into doing evil things, and there are discussions that can be had about that. But I think before we even get to nuanced conversations, we need to actually get back to people understanding what is right and what is wrong, because clearly we don't. And then if they do know this, then they are doing this on purpose, right? They are subverting what is right and wrong on purpose, and that's a whole other conversation that probably needs to be had. So I did find this topic interesting. Brett Desovic, he is the host of Pop Culture Crisis. He speculates that the storyline was cut out because the American public is not interested in this type of propaganda, and HBO are using President Donald Trump and his election as an easy scapegoat. He explained, I think Trump winning gave these studios an excuse to start giving notes to get rid of this stuff because they want to fall in line with the administration. But it's not because they want to fall in line with the administration. It's because they always knew this stuff didn't sell as well as they thought it did, and this just gives them their out without taking responsibility for it. They get to shift the blame off on his second term. I'm not sure if I completely agree with that. I think there is something to that. I also do think that the Trump administration has done has made some major steps to actually go after these corporations, has threatened litigation, has threatened various regulations that it might impose upon them. We know that the FCC is investigating NBC Universal. I think there's also an investigation into the Walt Disney Company now. So I do think there is something to this idea that the Trump administration kind of bringing down the hammer on this stuff, the law being a teacher, has definitely affected what these people in Hollywood are willing to write and put in their scripts. Or things that they already had in there that they have to cut out now. So I do think there is something to it. So I don't think it maybe is just one reason. Could be a number of different reasons. I think Brett's speculation here could be part of that reasoning. And again, I do think the Trump administration obviously threatening to go after these major corporations using the state might be weighing in on that as well. We already know not even the federal government, but the state of Florida already brought the Walt Disney Company to heel with their various lawsuits over the last couple of years. And when corporations try to think that they are bigger than the state usually puts them in their place very rapidly. And I think that kind of thinking might have gone through some of these executives' heads, especially some of these companies that might not be doing as well as the Walt Disney Company when it comes to its finances, looking at companies like Warner Brothers Discovery that are swimming in debt, even though David Zaslav has, I think, done a yeoman's job trying to get rid of a lot of that debt, despite a lot of people criticizing him for the decisions that he has made. But anyways, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. What do you make of what Carrie Coon had to say here? And why do you think that this scene was actually cut? Do you believe Coon? Do you believe Brett's speculation? Do you think there's more to it? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.